India confirms the novel variant of coronavirus. New double mutant variant found in the country on a day when over 200 new strains have been found in Maharashtra and 20% of these new samples in Nagpur. But the government says the strains do not explain the surge. And there is also the R factor. India's R factor now the highest of the 5 worst hit countries. This on a day when 275 lives have been lost, the most this year, and Gujarat amongst the states where cases hit a new daily high. Shocker of a story coming in from Kerala, where nuns are forced off train in UP by ABVP volunteers, all on the basis of suspicion. N.V. Ramana to be the next Chief Justice. His name has been recommended by the sitting CGI as top court has dismissed a complaint against him that came in from Andhra Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy. Big scam comes to light. DHFL in the eye of another storm. CBI says the directors have scammed the Prime Minister's ambitious housing fund. Over 1800 crore of government subsidies were taken by fake accounts. As cases escalate, Amir Khan tests positive for COVID and Salman Khan gets the first shot of the vaccine. And it's been 1 year to the lockdown. Those horrific migrant stories, all of them still trying to rebuild their lives. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now let's begin with the story that deserves all our attention tonight. The constantly escalating COVID cases in the country. We will get to the numbers in just a bit, but the headline today is the influx of several new variants that have taken over the country. Now, we already knew about the UK super spreader strain, we knew about the South African strain and also Brazil. But now, an inborn double mutation has got the scientists thinking. Here's why.
After weeks of speculation, the government has today confirmed an Indian strain of the coronavirus identified with as a double mutant. Maharashtra has the highest, over 200 cases, 9 in Delhi, 3 in Punjab and 1 each in Jammu, Ladakh and Odisha.
कोई भी लिंकेज ऐसा एस्टैब्लिश नहीं कर पाए हम जिसमें कि हम ये कहें कि ये सर्ज जो हमें विभिन्न शहरों में देखने को मिल रही है, इसका कारण डायरेक्टली सिर्फ म्यूटेशन है.
Health officials say these 2 mutations in the strain identified in India confer immune escape and increased infectivity. There is a possibility of reinfections.
According to the Health Ministry, such mutations confer increased infectivity and immune escape, which means that the new strain of virus can be more infectious. However, the government also maintains that the strategy to fight COVID and the vaccinations that are available in India are adequate, not just to fight the older variant, but the mutated one as well.
So when we talk of the double mutant, for example, that you mentioned, that is E484Q and L452R, there are 2 mutations where 2 residues have changed. In the genetic sequence, 2 residues have been mutated into another type of a residue.
Apart from this strain, the government also released a breakup of the 771 cases of the UK, South Africa and Brazil strain. These have been found in as many as 18 states and union territories, the most being the UK strain, of which 336 are in Punjab alone. The sole case of the Brazil strain has been found in Maharashtra.
टेस्ट करिए, जहां टेस्ट कम हो रहे हैं, टेस्ट पॉजिटिविटी बढ़ रही है, उसको हमें ठीक करना है मिलकर, और हमारे पास टेस्ट बनाने की कोई कमी नहीं है.
The experts believe that mutation in viruses is a natural phenomenon, and when viruses replicate, they do mutate. The only way to stop mutation is to stop the virus, and that can only happen by maintaining COVID appropriate behavior, by wearing masks and by getting vaccination when our turn comes. With camera person Mohammad Mursaleen, I'm Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
And there's a reason you need to be listening into all those precautions very carefully, because over 31,000 new cases and 95 deaths have been reported in Maharashtra today itself. It's a huge spike in cases in Mumbai as well today, which got over 5,000 positive cases and 6 deaths. Dharavi, once COVID-free, once a model case for the world to look at, now 62 positive cases today, the highest since May last year.
9 of India's top 10 districts with most active COVID cases are in Maharashtra, and the state's health infrastructure is once again struggling to cope. Relatives of COVID patients outside this government hospital in Maharashtra's Nashik, a district that has seen a massive rise in COVID cases in the last 2 weeks, say it has been a struggle to get beds at COVID wards.
नासिक शहर में किधर ही बेड नहीं मिल रहा है। नासिक शहर के जिला रुग्णालय में यहाँ पे अतिशय भयानक परिस्थिति है। यहाँ का एक पण बेड रिकामा नहीं है। आज हमने हमारे रिलेटिव को यहाँ लेके आए थे। यहाँ बेड की उपलब्धता नहीं है और जल्दी से जल्दी शासन ने इस पे ध्यान देना चाहिए और बेड उपलब्ध करना चाहिए।
A rerun too of viral videos like these shot recently inside COVID wards at hospitals in Nashik and Aurangabad.
मला खूप शुगर आहे, माझ्या छातीत खूप दुखतंय, मला ऍडमिट करून घ्या. तर ते लोक मला म्हणे एकही बेड खाली नाहीये, तुम्ही होम क्वारंटाईन व्हा आणि घरातच हे करा. तर मी म्हटलं माझं घर खूप छोटं आहे, माझे लहान लहान लेकरं आहे, मी घरात कशी क्वारंटाईन होऊ, मला तुम्ही इथे ऍडमिट करून घ्या. तर ते मला म्हटले एकही बेड खाली नाहीये. तर मी त्यांना इतके हातपाय जोडले, इतकं म्हणजे खूप रिक्वेस्ट केली, विनंती केली की मला ऍडमिट करून घ्या. तुम्हीच बघा, तुमच्या स्वतःच्या डोळ्यांनी बघा बघा हे कसं खाली आहे, सगळे रूम सगळे कॉट खाली आहे. हे भ्रष्ट डॉक्टर आणि भ्रष्ट सरकार.
Maharashtra reported 132 deaths in a 24-hour period between Monday and Tuesday, the highest number of daily deaths since the 20th of November last year. More than 3,000 new cases have been reported daily in Mumbai for 3 consecutive days, although deaths have remained 10 or less.
शहरामध्ये वाढत्या रुग्णसंख्येला वैद्यकीय सुविधा मिळण्यासाठी आपण तयारी सुरू केलेली आहे. त्यामध्ये मेरीचं CCC सेंटर सुरू करायचं, ठक्करडोबचं सुरू करायचं.
The latest lockdown in Maharashtra is in the district of Bihar that will be totally shut between the 26th of March and the 4th of April. The state's battle with COVID is far from any resolution. With Pooja Bharadwaj in Mumbai, Anusuya Mathur for NDTV.
And staying with Maharashtra, the BJP is keeping the attack on the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi government going, with Devendra Fadnavis, former Chief Minister and leading the BJP delegation to Raj Bhavan to meet with the governor there, Bhagat Singh Koshari, demanding that he ask for a report from the government, also saying why is the Chief Minister absolutely quiet on this issue.
ये बॉम्ब लेकर घूम रहे लेटर बॉम्ब, अरे वो छोटा फटाका भी नहीं है।
ये जो रिपोर्ट केंद्रीय गृह सचिव जी को दी गई है, ये छोटा फटाका है या बड़ा बम है, ये तो जल्दी ही सामने आएगा।
Devendra Fadnavis leading a BJP delegation to the Raj Bhavan.
सारी घटनाएं दुखदाई है। इतनी सारी घटनाएं होने के बावजूद महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री जी ने उसके ऊपर एक बयान भी नहीं दिया। पवार साहब ने 2 प्रेस ली, किंतु जो मंत्री है उनको केवल बचाने का प्रयास पवार साहब ने किया। महावसूली सरकार में कांग्रेस पार्टी का क्या अस्तित्व है हमको तो समझ में नहीं आता।
Fadnavis, while questioning the Chief Minister's silence on the issue, said the governor can ask for a report and get the details of what has happened. The NCP's Nawab Malik hit back.
तो सरकार को बदनाम करने का खेल भारतीय जनता पार्टी द्वारा शुरू है। रश्मि शुक्ला की रिपोर्ट पे कहा जा रहा है कि ट्रांसफर में पैसे लिए गए। रश्मि शुक्ला की रिपोर्ट तथ्यहीन है। जो रिपोर्ट में नामों का उल्लेख है भी ट्रांसफर 80% गलत है।
In Delhi, a setback for the replaced Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh in the Supreme Court over his petition against his transfer and the allegations against the Home Minister of Maharashtra. The Supreme Court asked Parambir Singh to approach the Bombay High Court with his plea and questioned why the Home Minister hadn't been made a party to case. if Singh's complaint of corruption was against him. While the court observed the matter was serious, it also held that a lot of the material that has come in the public domain is the consequence of the two people falling out. Sachin Vaze, the police inspector whose arrest sparked off this entire controversy, leading to Parambir Singh's removal for unforgivable lapses according to the Home Minister, was booked under the stringent anti-terror law, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The Home Minister met the Chief Minister twice in the day and even attended a cabinet meeting held in the afternoon.
जिस लोगों के फोन नंबर के टैपिंग की परमिशन मांग की थी, उनके तो फोन नंबर टैप ही नहीं हुए, टैप हुए कहीं अलग नंबर ही। और क्या मालूम कि ऐसे करते करते पूरे मंत्रिमंडल का ही फोन टैप करने का काम रश्मि जी ने किया होगा।
Soon after the cabinet meeting ended, senior ministers discussed the fallout of the phone tapping issue. The person behind the phone tapping, the then intelligence chief of the state Rashmi Shukla, it is believed had sought permission for some phones but tapped other phones. And when this was revealed, she had sought the leniency of the government, which the government had agreed to because she was a senior officer. Now, of course, the cabinet has discussed what kind of action they can take against Rashmi Shukla for illegal phone tapping. In Mumbai, with camera person Rajendra Dhalkar and Arvind Gunasekhar in New Delhi, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Prime Minister Modi's ambitious housing scheme, or the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, has run into a scam. The CBI says that they have now registered a corruption and cheating case against the DHFL directors, the Vadhavan brothers, saying they scammed thousands of crores with fake home loan accounts. The money involved is said to be running in over 11,000 crores, which were routed through several fictitious firms as well. Now, this December 2018, DHFL is said to have processed about 88,651 home loan accounts under this scheme, but all bogus. For this, they got subsidies from government worth over 1,800 crore. Taking you through news just coming in, the controversial bill proposing to give more powers to Delhi's Lieutenant Governor, the centre's representative compared to the city's elective government, has now been passed in Rajya Sabha, even as the opposition walked out of this. The bill said to be a huge setback to Arvind Kejriwal, and he's just tweeted about this as well. Extremely unhappy. He says, Rajya Sabha passed the GNCTD amendment. Sad day for Indian democracy. We will continue our struggle to restore power back to the people. Whatever be the obstacles, we will continue doing good job. Work will neither stop nor slow down. Arvind Gunasekhar tracking the details. Arvind, it's been a late session in Parliament. Tell us what led to this.
Yeah, Sonal, after the Lok Sabha passed this contentious Government of National Capital Territory Delhi Amendment Bill, now the Rajya Sabha has also passed this bill. The opposition parties in masse, they walked out of this proceeding before the voting took place. When the bill was moved for consideration, the opposition parties wanted a division of votes, and when they saw that the ruling party has numbers, then the opposition parties in masse, they walked out. In fact, during the debate, also during the discussion on the bill, also opposition parties wanted this particular bill to be sent to select committee. They questioned the urgency. They questioned the urgency of the government to pass the bill today itself. In fact, they said that many of the MPs have gone for the election campaigning across all these 5 states, and why can't the bill be postponed so that once all the MPs come, the bill can be deliberated, can be discussed, and then it can be taken into consideration. But the ruling party, they pushed forward the bill today, and then with the numbers, the bill has been passed. So earlier the Lok Sabha has passed, and today the Rajya Sabha has passed. Not just the Aam Aadmi Party, which is the ruling party in Delhi, across all the regional parties, including the national parties like Left and also Congress Party and also SP, also came together. They questioned the ruling government, saying that this is like giving a power to one individual, that is the LG, who is not an elected person. This is like defining the government in Delhi as LG. So all the opposition parties came together. They opposed parties like YSR Congress and also BJD, who usually go along with the ruling party BJP. Even today, they also took a stand against the ruling party on this particular bill. Though they didn't vote against the bill, they walked out. But they made it clear that they are not happy with the bill. But with the numbers, the Rajya Sabha has also passed the bill. Next, the bill will be taken to the president. Once the president signs the bill, then the lieutenant governor will be the government in Delhi. What we are also hearing from our sources that the Aam Aadmi Party will be moving the Supreme Court against this particular bill. Sonal?
All right, so not the last we've heard on this just yet. All right, let's move on to the battleground states now, and we're talking about Assam at the moment. Before the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, the country saw massive anti-CAA protests across the country. In many places, it was violent as well. The protests, however, had first started in December of 2019 in Assam. The first massive violence during the anti-CAA protests in the country took place there in Dibrugarh district, very close to Assam Chief Minister Bananda Sonbal's native village. Cut to 2021, NDTV visited that area to try and understand how exactly is it playing out in election season.
Election fever at its peak in Chabua, a key constituency in Upper Assam's Dibrugarh district, among the 47 seats going to polls in the first phase on 27th March. But the pictures weren't the same a year ago. This is the same Chabua, singed in violence a year ago against the controversial Citizenship Amendment Act brought in by the central government.
This is perhaps the only remnant of the violent anti-CAA protest that Chabua saw in 2019. The angry protesters had put this post office behind me on fire. And not only this post office, several government offices were ransacked, and even the protesters at that point of time had set the residence of the local MLA on fire.
Sitting MLA Binod Hazarika, a BJP old-timer, has changed his political address. He's contesting this time from a new constituency, the neighbouring Lahowal seat. Chabua has been given away to ally Assam Gan Parishad. Congress has a new candidate here. These political maneuvers, Hazarika claims that lost ground has been regained.
उस टाइम में ऐसा हालत हो गया कि हर मेरा कार्यकर्ता को रिजाइन कर दिया गया. मेरा पूरा ये घर अभी तो घर बन गया है. उस टाइम में कुछ नहीं था, पूरा ये जल गया था. जैसे स्वयं जैसा स्कीम दे दिया. उसका बाद हम लोग का जो गांव-गांव में गरीब लोगों का जो स्कीम था सब हम लोग लेके गया.
The anti-CAA protests were halted by the lockdown last year. Now only the All Assam Students Union is protesting.
उनका मन में जो कहा को जो ख्वाब है वो जो दौर है सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट एक्ट का जो सिटीजन असम में आएगा या जोर जुलूम करके जो अमेंडमेंट एक्ट डाल रहा है असम पर, ये जरूर प्रभाव पड़ेगा.
This graffiti on the rail station wall is a reminder of last year's protests. On the streets though, the discourse very different.
पूरी असमीज कम्युनिटी ज़्यादातर लोग इसके खिलाफ है, सीए के खिलाफ, लेकिन वो लोग वोट एंटी सीए के नाम पे करेंगे ऐसा कहना मुश्किल है.
बेरोजगारी की इशू है, किसी के पास नौकरी नहीं है, उसका इशू है, उसी को लेके हम लोग वोट देना. मतलब देखिए वो तो बहुत साल पर मुरम्मत होने वाला है, अभी का कोई इशू नहीं है.
The Congress has promised a new legislation to nullify CAA in Assam. Two regional parties born out of anti-CAA protests, the Assam Jatiya Parishad and Raijor Dal, contesting the polls on the planks of CAA opposition. But the BJP is hopeful that a renewed NRC and the lost traction on CAA may help it sail through, provided the undercurrent doesn't gather momentum. With camera person Sanjay Chakrabarti and Ratnadeep Chaudhary, in Chabua, Osama Shah for NDTV.
With that, let's slip into a break. On the other side, we bring you the latest from Bihar. Welcome back. Let's tell you what happened a day after the opposition MLAs were dragged and manhandled by the police in Bihar Assembly. And remember, they were carried out on stretchers as well. Also, the speaker, meanwhile, was virtually held hostage inside his chambers. All ironically over a legislation that gives more power to the state's police force to search people and make arrest. Now, a day after that, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar defended the decision to call the cops inside Assembly, saying there was simply no other option left.
उनको भी तो बताएं कि जिस तरह का व्यवहार सदन के अंदर किया
ये आज तक कभी नहीं किया गया। ये तो बताएं या स्पीकर साहब को एक्सप्लेन करें। और जो कुछ भी हुआ और हम लोग तो सब शांति से बैठे रहे, लेकिन उन लोगों ने जो अशांति पैदा करने की कोशिश की है, तो उसके लिए ये स्पीकर साहब की जिम्मेवारी थी कि नॉर्मलाइज करें।
The Chief Minister. The day after scenes like this, unprecedented in the history of the Bihar Assembly, after opposition legislators sat on dharna outside the chamber of the Bihar Speaker Vijay Kumar Sinha. Even female legislators were dragged out by women constables. It started with the opposition stalling a discussion on the controversial amendment to the Bihar Armed Police Act, which gives them the power to arrest or check anyone in places under their supervision. The opposition allegedly even locked up the speaker. Today, the entire opposition stayed away from the assembly proceedings.
आज तो विधायकों को विधानसभा में पीटा जा रहा है। सादे कपड़ों में पुलिस को बाहरी लोग को बुला करके पिटवाने का काम किया गया है। तो घर में भी विधायकों को पीटेंगे, लेकिन इसी कानून के तहत नीतीश कुमार जी जान लें कि कोई वो परमानेंट सीट पे बैठने वाले नहीं है।
While Nitish Kumar justifies his government's actions by saying that the opposition was holding the speaker hostage, he will go down in history as the chief minister who called policemen into the assembly and had MLAs manhandled. With Manish Kumar, Meher Pandey for NDTV.
Sad day indeed, but that's all we could pack in this edition of news. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.